It's not often we get an opening day for movies like this. I mean, two movies that are not only highly anticipated, but highly rated in the first few days before the premieres, and the fact that they both got number 4 all time in opening weekend for two movies. Barbie just hit 155 million, and Oppenheimer, I believe, had 80 million over the weekend. So with such a big weekend, obviously I went to see both as soon as I could, and obviously I'm going to talk about both. I'm going to do Barbie first because I feel like that's the least anticipated of the two movies. Not due to hype, or not in the sense that people aren't excited, but because its expectations are just way lower. I mean, no one expects this movie to compete for any Oscar nominations or anything, and personally, I just didn't want it to be painfully bad or average. I didn't want to see a movie that was played with no direction because the only notes the writers were given were like, keep it safe, don't hurt anyone's feelings. But Barbie surprised me, not because it's like an incredible movie that will do those things of Oscars that I said, but because it's just actually a solid movie. It does things a little unique, and more importantly, it was actually funny. Genuinely a pretty funny movie where I didn't feel out of place. I am well aware that this movie wasn't made for 20-year-old something white dudes, or really men at all, but that really didn't hinder my enjoyment at all, as a lot of the jokes directed towards the toxicity of men and how they control the world didn't come off as misandry propaganda or just like someone complaining that they don't get treated fairly. It came off as a funny and informative way to articulate those ideas and messages while addressing them, which is, I think, solid. And I mean, if it hurts someone's feelings, that's fine. It's more of the idea it didn't come off like Amy Schumer, which is vagina jokes the whole time, even though it does say vagina. Margot Robbie, as always, was phenomenal. Subtle scenes of Barbie attempting to feel emotion is conveyed very well with her confusion and her attempts to understand people. So many great scenes, honestly, with her. The scene with the older woman at the bus stop was really cute. The ending scene with Ruth was also just really good. She has a great line in there about mothers, and you can tell the movie's made for mothers and daughters and that kind of connection, and overall just women in general. Nothing wrong with that. Doesn't take away from the film. It doesn't take away from how much I enjoyed it, and it's still it delivers a pretty well thought out message in a unique way without being so over the top, I'd say. Now, I don't think they meant to or really expected to make Ryan Gosling or Ken the best character, but they did. Like, he makes this movie very, very enjoyable. He was so funny unironically. Instead of playing the dumb, naive character that just dumbs down to, what is this? I don't get it. Let me use simple item in goofy, dumb way. Movies do, especially when it comes to children's movies. And it gets pretty done, like, annoyingly after a while. Pretty much just new Patrick on SpongeBob, whatever he was for a long time, like the later half of SpongeBob. Rather than that, though, he actually comes off as a sweet meathead who actually has understandable and developed motivations to be almost like an antagonist to the movie. He's not the bad guy. He's just kind of so dumb he doesn't understand the problem with what he's doing, which in a way is almost kind of the point of the movie. Sure, they have many pro-women talks and feminist talks, which, you know, nothing wrong with that. It's a movie about women for women, but they were done overall pretty well. None felt out of place or entirely corny, which I think is impressive and should be, you know, given high regard. Regardless of gender, I feel like as though those moments where people stop and explain exactly how they feel and exactly how the theme of the movie should make everyone feel, whether it's government changing, it usually comes off very corny, but overall they do it very well, and they convey the real world of men are assholes, but Kens aren't assholes, they're just dumb. They're too dumb to understand why the patriarchy is harmful to women. I say the patriarchy because that's exactly what Ken says in the movie. That's why it's funny, because Ken has no clue what the patriarchy actually means. He's just happy to drink beer and have a horse. He even says this. He does not understand why it's harmful to women, which is also able to convey the image of how men who aren't actively contributing to the assholes of the world are still putting women down by not fighting against it or giving them opportunities and not trying to bring women up with them. It overall tackles passive and active sexism very well. This is not the video, and I'm not the person to tackle that specific topic more in depth, other than saying it did it well. Overall, a good movie. I think it's a very enjoyable movie. I'm just happy it wasn't some Trolls bullshit or that one Ghostbusters movie with Melissa McCarthy bullshit, or honestly just some Amy Schumer movie. I'm really happy it was none of those. It was something pretty original, funny, and had a lot of effort and care behind it. I like it. Good movie, fun movie for sure. I'd definitely watch it again. Yeah, like 7.5 out of 10, I'd say. Solid.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Earlier I said Barbie was not a movie that would ever be nominated for Oscars or anything like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean it's any less of a movie or anything, worse of a movie, honestly. But this movie though should, and I believe absolutely will, be nominated for multiple Oscars. I can't say if it'll win or not because it's a long year, but this movie it's really special. This isn't your typical biopic like Air, Tetris, or even the Flamin' Hot movie, which I think a lot of people, including myself when it was first announced, thought it might be what we were getting, but I'm very happy to be wrong. Rather than a straightforward retelling of history, we get a beautifully woven story between past and present. Not only does it handle when and where the story is taking place so well, but it shifts between two perspectives of two different people in a way only I think Christopher Nolan could do it really effectively. Using color and then black and white as the shifting perspectives of whose story is being told is not only a unique thing, I think, but also allows us to understand what the situation means to the characters and who the people are in those situations. The color with Robert Oppenheimer is showing us how that he isn't just a dude building a bomb. He is living a life full of color and is a person full of that color as well. He's discovering groundbreaking science, falling in love, raising a family, attempting to support his political and social causes, having multiple affairs. He's living a life, a very, very colorful life. But Louis Strauss, on the other hand, and his black and white perspective is at the forefront of the film. While we watch this colorful life of Oppenheimer, we also are shown Strauss dealing with his hearing, and all Strauss cares about is the progression of the building of the hydrogen bomb program, but more specifically taking down Oppenheimer with that decision. He has dedicated his life to doing so to the point where his life is as black and white as it is that. He's right, Oppenheimer's wrong. That's it. I believe that Cillian Murphy and Emily Blunt will most likely be nominated for Oscars for their incredible performances. To convey a marriage so broken and so stressed while not even being at the forefront is just gorgeous. The color even is shown through Cillian's acting, as he has scenes where he's a narcissist, others he's a brainiac, some a charmer, and overall just a man who's developed from a young genius into someone who's realizing what he's doing and what he's going through. He's almost never the same person in two scenes, and this is pretty much due to the fact that he's going through such an awful yet historically significant event in history, and he knows it, and he doesn't really know what to do with it. Robert Downey Jr. may very well receive a nomination as well, because I think he was brilliant, and seeing him not as Iron Man just feels good. I mean, I don't know who else would disagree with that, but the man is a brilliant actor, and he's able to convey this very cold-blooded yet scheming man so well. He's truly able to help you immerse into this experience, and overall just blow you away. I believe this movie will and should be nominated for Best Picture, Best Visual Effects, Actor in a Lead Role, Actor in a Supporting Role, Actress in a Supporting Role, Best Director, and probably more. But this movie deserves, all the praise it can get. And I saw a couple movie reviews where people weren't really sure how to feel about it. I saw a review where someone complained of there not being any really heroes or villains in this movie, and I was just confused on how they got to that conclusion. It's real life. This is a real thing with real people. This is a very understandable situation where there are no heroes, good, bad, or villains, because that is life. Especially in war, there's not going to be heroes, but those just remembered by the victors as such. Now, I don't mean to diminish those who do serve, but rather the point that this critic made. Oppenheimer isn't a good guy. He's a man who progressed us 50 years into the future and created the most dangerous weapon on the planet. That doesn't come with a burden, like shown in the movie. A different critic complained about pacing, and overall, after the Trinity testing, complained that the pacing slowed down, and it overall wasn't that great of a second half of a film, and even rated this movie lower than Barbie.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass.
I don't know how you can rate it lower than Barbie, because I think overall, just from the beginning half of this movie, it is a better movie. 2, if the pacing slowed down, but after the bombing, it comes more off like you are just wanting to see the Nagasaki or big explosions, and that's why you went to watch. But nothing wrong with that. But if that's true, just be open about it. But if that first half of the movie doesn't completely entice you into what is really happening, which is the life of Robert Oppenheimer, then of course that second half's not going to mean nothing to you. The first half is to set up Oppenheimer and throughout testing and everything to get there, The second half is to show you how that all unravels and how it's completely plagued the man. But overall, I think this movie's great. I don't think it's Nolan's best film. I think it's going to be impossible to make something honestly better than like Interstellar, Inception, even Batman, The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, the man is a wonderful director and gets all the praise in the world he deserves. But regardless, this is going to be one of the best biopic movies I think ever made. And it shouldn't be diminished how he's able to take something that a lot of people just tell linearly, very, very specifically and visually very well done, especially from a book adaptation. It's just overall a very well done movie, and I don't know how anyone could diminish that with anything less than like an 8.5 to a 9. You don't have to give it a 10. I don't think it's a perfect movie. I don't think it's a 9.5, respectable, a little high. Personally, 8.5 to 9, anything in there is good enough for me, and that's what I'd give it, 8.5 or a 9. I'll say a 9. I'm gonna see it again tomorrow. I do understand this movie's not for everyone though, but with that said, for me, I still think that doesn't take away from the fact that it is overall a wonderful film, and it's definitely a different watch than Barbie though. It's fun for people who enjoy Nolan and enjoy history. It's not really fun for everyone, but you know, it is what it is. It's still a really good movie. 9 out of 10. Overall, thank you guys for watching. Sorry for not uploading for so long. I've just been so busy with school, and honestly, finding the motivation on what to upload is very struggling. It's just not really easy to find out what I want to upload anymore, so this does well. Hopefully I'll keep uploading it. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for the support, and with that, have a good day.